So this is going to take me to the last section, which is about relationships with business. There are two components that impact on civil society's relationship with South African business, which happens mainly through corporate social investment. These are the BEE codes and the capacity to measure delivery and impact. Business is not generally altruistic, although there are some key exceptions to the rule. I'm not opposed to the for-profit sector. It's critical to the development of our economy, it provides work and produces the products we need. However, in terms of values, the corporate sector is extractive by nature. It will extract what it can from its employees, its customers, its suppliers. And the non-profit sector is about giving back to society. So there's a fundamental difference. That doesn't mean business is wrong, that is just how it operates. Are there then real opportunities for partnership between civil society and business? And in many instances there will be common ground in terms of what people are trying to achieve, although they might approach the problem from different angles. For example, an organization might be working with matriculants to prepare them for university, and this could be their partner company. Comes into it because it desperately needs good, talented, qualified graduates. And it understands that the seedbed of such future employees, our school system, is currently barely functioning. And the add-on that NGOs provide has value. But there has to be respect for different values and agendas. The BEE codes have also had an impact on such partnerships. While there might have been some level of altruism previously, this has been wiped out on a significant scale by the need to tick boxes to gain BEE points. There are some companies that no longer have any values at all, but only request proposals from organizations that can prove the 75% black beneficiary targets. So, for example, you might find a company supporting a pro-abortion organization and an anti-abortion organization, both of which have 75% black beneficiaries. The values don't count. What you're trying to achieve doesn't count. The box counts. Whilst the imperative to transfer our society is totally understood, the reality of this requirement has had an impact on the interface between civil society and the corporate sector in terms of that common value base. The issue of social return on investment has created confusion, and I wrote this before yesterday. Although it is important and correct for organizations to report on how funds were spent, whether they delivered on their programs, and what the impact of their programs were, there is a utopian idea that somehow business practice can save the world. In response, the following quote from Michael Edwards in his book Small Change is appropriate. Expecting price competition, the profit motive, short-term deliverables, and supply chain control to bring about a world of compassion and solidarity is, to say the least, a little strange. You wouldn't use a typewriter to plow a field or a tractor to write a book, so why use markets where different principles apply? Social change is complex and messy. Organizations need to navigate society, social structures, interest groups, and differing agendas in order to achieve consensus. The process alone can take months or years before any actual work takes place. When Jonathan Schreier was encouraged to build a school in Vryfront, a hugely disadvantaged area in Cape Town, he formed a committee, and 2 members of his committee were killed before the school was built. It took enormous courage and persistence to deliver and complete this incredibly successful project. It's now a showcase in Cape Town. But how does one measure this? Does this process not matter in terms of return on investment, but only that the school was built, how many pupils attended, and what their final matric results were? When measuring social return, and certainly what I saw yesterday, there was no context at all. According to James Taylor of the Community Development Resource Agency, we have approached developmental work in a linear, mechanistic, and instrumental way. He explains that this can be effective in resolving simple and even complicated problems where there's a direct and predictable cause and effect relationship between input, output, and outcome. But we are starting to understand that this framework could thwart our capacity to address the multifaceted, complicated, systemic problems that we face. And when we talked, the discussion earlier this morning was about bringing people together. That's exactly what we have to do. One organization doesn't have all the answers, and we don't work in a linear fashion. We don't work in a mechanistic fashion. We are working with human beings, and they chop and change. And how people absorb things changes. The pressures that we work under change. And the most important word I'm going to use is change, because that's what societies do. And in South Africa in particular, we are geared to change. So if you're operating in a linear fashion, we're going there, you can measure everything. But the measurement is acontextual, so it means nothing. There are huge opportunities for the corporate sector, as I said, to work with civil society, but I'm now going to look at guidelines for good partnerships.